All right, this is the meeting of this is the meeting of the Deputy Sheriff's Civil Service Commission. Call the meeting to order. First item is to approve the September 18th, 2024 minutes. The commissioners had a chance to read those.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. The next is approval of the October 16th, 2024 minutes. So all the commissioners had a chance to read those.
Yes, sir.
So a motion to approve.
Second.
I said, do we have a motion?
Move. Second.
Move, second.
Who did what?
I'll move.
He moved, he seconded. Jim seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Online testing for Berkeley County Deputy Sheriff Department for open entry and promotional exams. We do have some significant updates on that tonight.
Yes, we do. Okay, so the commissioners, you all received in your packet a couple days ago the two test vendors. The one is the Standard and Associates that we've been working, that actually Corporal Tyler got us there. Let me digress a second. For the background, for the record, I met with Chad Weinbrenner, who's the Deputy County Administrator. Met with him on September 30th of this year because there was some concern in the county clerk's office regarding the cost. When you get into the kind of dollars that we thought we were going to be getting into, you have contracts that got to be let and things like that, bids. So we met with him, or I met with him to discuss this. Basically, Mr. Weinbrenner said what we would need to do in our situation is to get 3 competitive cost comparisons proposals. I did send out 1, 2, 3, 4 letters. However, only 2 people replied back. That was what was in your all's packets, and Sheriff, and to your staff, I sent that out earlier today. I thought I'd sent it out last week, but I did miss that, so I got it out to you today. The one was Standard and Associates, who we've been chatting with the last several months, and the other was the International Associations of Chiefs of Police. That was a Miss Rhea Joseph. IACP is located in Alexandria, Virginia. So right now we've only received 2 of them back. Before we can proceed really any further, we need you folks as a commission to make a motion who of those 2 you feel you want to go with, and then I'll carry it a step further once that process is done.
I'm not sure I understand you, John. Weinbrenner said we need 3.
He said we need 3, but again, it's kind of like providing the sheriff the names. You can only give him what you got.
Sure, if you got 2, you proceed
We got
with 2.
2. That's what we're going to go with.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as we can show that we put in,
Yes.
that we submitted to 4 different places.
And
at
the
least
other
3.
ones went out to a national
Right.
testing network in Linwood, Washington.
Right.
And the other was a McCann Association, and I forget where they were located, but
All right.
You're looking for us tonight to make a decision as to which one.
between those 2.
Okay. I'm going to have some questions.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just trying to follow some of the costs. I think I understand what Standard is saying. They've got so much, $100 per test or something like that.
Standard was very easy to follow.
And then they've got $10 for study guides. I mean, I can understand that. The IACP, I don't understand what they're talking about. I see numbers like 30,000.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I didn't quite get that one either.
Yeah.
They did not break it down for that. What you see is what they gave us. The semi-custom written examination, which is 35% custom for 5 ranks.
Yeah.
that cost is going to be $35,500. Even this, with the standard, their
So-
cost figures do not rise what I saw to the $35,000.
So is that okay, so the $35,000, and I looked through this and I was trying to understand it. Is that $35,000, once we buy that, then it's ours? We can have as many testings with it as we want? And do we have editing access to it? So if we want to go in and make changes down the road, is this a one-time cost? Are we buying this test from this guys and then they're done with us?
To be honest, I really can't answer that question if that's just a one-time cost. My experience has been, and with the folks that I did talk to on the phone, there is a fee every time they kind of touch it, so to speak.
That's what I figured.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, I just didn't really spell that out in this
Yes, sir.
in this proposal of theirs. So that's what I was curious about. So, in my opinion, this proposal is incomplete.
And the thing I want to point out is, and I have those letters, I can show you tonight if you want to see them. Based upon my conversation with Mr. Weinbrenner, I sent sent all four of them the same letter so that we were trying to compare oranges to oranges and apples to apples.
Correct.
And
Yeah, you showed us the letter.
Yes.
I've seen the letter.
Yes.
Yeah, and it was the same to all of them. So I think we're okay to maybe have a discussion on this, guys, and then what do you guys think?
Yeah, I don't, I'm really not, I mean, to me, the IACP looks like it's just the initial setup and everything is the 35,000 and then,
They said, refer to that as a process.
yeah.
And again, from what I read with them at the 35,000, and that's only if you customize 35 question or 35%.
Right.
That $35,000 was standard. You're way below standards cost of that $35,000, even with customization.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we can customize at least part of the standard test, we get the same product, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, do they do the,
Study guide.
and they grade, score the
Yes, sir.
tests? Okay.
Yeah, theirs was actually quite thorough.
And if we
Easily
proceed
understood.
with them and we find out it's not going to work, we're not out very much money,
Correct.
so.
We're not out $35,000.
Yeah, we're definitely not out 35,000.
But we'll also need, we know we'll need to go to the council, the county council, to get the dollars to support, I mean, we have some budget to get started, but we're gonna run out of money.
Earlier when I said you make your decision of who to go with and I'll give you the rest of the puzzle.
There you go. You're the man.
I promise you I will.
Okay.
Do we have any input from sheriff or from the association on that? I think you all have already looked at the proposals. This would be for promotional exams only.
Only, yes, sir, promotional only.
State your name for the record.
Tyler Dobson, Deputy Sheriff Association. Talking to the sheriff and Captain Heckman, is there a way to review each test first, see what's, because the process we did last time is there was sample tests given out to everybody that, like, so a corporal took a corporal's test, sergeant took a sergeant's test, lieutenant, so on. And that was just to make sure the test was what our standards are, what our policies are, make sure it's going to benefit us and not where we're in the position we're in now would be our.
I
I know
was,
that's what kind of took a little bit of time last time when we were with the last company, but I would feel like
I don't know that they will send out a sample test because they are very, and that's, I can only speak to the Standard associates. They were very protective of theirs.
But
Well, absolutely, because they don't want people to steal their,
Yeah,
to use
so,
their stuff, so.
but the thing is, what you all were looking for primarily was that study guide.
right.
And this is a huge step to get you a better, I think, a better test and a study guide.
And you said that we get to help like.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, we're probably talking 6 to 8 months before we can even
this is part of the rest of the puzzle.
implement. Well, but I'm saying
talking-
by the time we go through questions and
I don't think you're talking that far. Personally, I don't. And the reason I say that, what my discussion with the gentleman was, and he's the vice president of this company, we get I want to say your all's manual, departmental policy manual. You send it to us. We send it to them. We are the liaison with the company. State code. We can copy and paste chapter 17C. Is that what it's doing? 17?
One of them.
If that's what you want. Or you all as leadership over there can send us what you want them to extract to be placed on a test. That's what they do. They do that. They extract questions, derive the questions from that. Your all study guide in that case will be state code and departmental policy. That's a part of it. I would only recommend at start that we only customize 20 questions, maybe 10 from the state code, 10 from departmental policy.
How many questions is the test? They say.
No more than 125 questions.
I mean, I guess I don't want to speak on behalf of the agency, but as far as the association goes, advocate on their behalf. I feel like it would be better, at least that the association member, somebody representing the association, would review it with the administration, kind of similar to what we did last time, as far as one association member was selected and the agency selected a person for each rank when they took that for the last company. I would just advocate that.
When you say last company,
The last company that we were going to test, that we were going to use for the
was
test,
that iOS?
the one that went out of business.
Okay,
Before,
iOS. Okay.
before it was a done deal,
Yeah, that's right, I remember.
association corporal, and then the department picked a corporal. They took the corporal's test and said, and so on and so forth. And we did that all the way up to the rank of captain, and that was just to make sure that the test was going to be beneficial and to our agency and be beneficial for everybody to understand, and it wasn't going to be the same position we're in now, where the test you take now really has no
Substance.
application to the day.
And that's what I think and maybe I'll try to explain this a different way. It would be a good idea, first of all, I agree with you that you should have somebody from each area represented, but you're going to be providing this learning company, with the information that you want on the test.
Correct.
So
I guess
so when the test comes back, we're going to review it. Okay, it's not like we're just going to give them the information. They're going to throw us a test and we're going to say, yeah, okay, we're going to take this. No, we're going to give them and also they're going to create the study guide out of that information. So everything that you guys decide that you want in that test will be there. If I'm understanding,
but
reading
there'll
the
be
literature.
other things as
But
well.
there'll be other things that are added.
Right. I understand that.
Like the state does the same thing when you take the state test. It does the same thing. So I think that's what it is. And you're definitely going to be, we're going to get a chance to review these tests before they become, and
I can't. I don't know that because, like I said, if you were to give the nod to the standard associates,
Right?
they're very overly protect. They're very protective. I won't say overly.
The standard questions are going to remain the same.
Do we get a say of how many questions are
Standards, the name of the
that
company.
like
We can tell them how many questions.
So we could say we want all 120 questions based off our department policy and SOPs. Really, if
No.
we couldn't, we can't do that.
No, because it's $49 per question.
Okay, all right, I missed that.
Yeah.
Could if you had the money.
If we had the
If
money,
you had the money, and I
$4,900
think
bucks.
that's what we've
that?
said.
$4,900
still cheaper than 35,000.
Good point.
That's a good point.
But that's what we've said over the long haul was the fact that you add 20 questions this time.
Right.
The next time you give that corporal's test, maybe you add 20 more questions so that we're moving up incrementally to give you a more of a customized test. And there's a couple things. I mean, depending upon how you as a commission and in partnership, I'm going to say with the sheriff, maybe you don't want to do that customized test right away. Maybe you want to order the basic test of it's $100 for a corporal and a sergeant, first line supervisor, and just order the basic test to see how their test question structures are.
There are some sample questions in the literature. They
There are
sent
some,
us.
and that
Was
was
that
sent
from,
And the
out.
thing-
was that from standard or was that from
Standard,
Standard.
yeah. And so the thing is,
But that's the one that costs 35,000.
No.
No.
Then where am I?
standard has some sample questions in there.
Right. Where's the 35? Who's charging 35?
IACP,
That's
International
IACP.
Association.
They didn't send
Chief
any.
of
I don't think
Police.
they sent us any sample questions.
They did not.
Okay, I didn't.
One
I
of
knew
them.
one. Okay, I got the two confused. I thought standard was charging 35,000.
No, sir. No, sir.
That's okay.
So the thing is that we're gonna, I mean, we don't review the questions now. We can't know them, and we have no study guide. So now we're gonna have questions and a study guide. So we're gonna be testing the ability of people to learn, for one thing. And, I mean, I think if once we approve and decide if it's standard we're going to move forward with, then we can get from them, okay, what's our process of implementation?
Correct.
And if anywhere along the line we say, yeah, no, this isn't what we're in for, we can back off of that.
And
But
to go
I think it's better not to hold this up any longer.
one step further, though, if I may, you may want to narrow down those customized questions. For example, instead of a whole departmental policy, and I don't know how many pages or chapters you have related to use of force, maybe you just want to start out with a use of force questions first, since you're limited on the number.
Would we? I guess. Would the agency write the questions themselves and submit them, or did we just say
They
this is
extract.
this is our use of force policy, and then they just pick and choose?
Correct.
Well,
They will write the test question.
I think, I mean, at least speak on behalf of the association, get an opportunity to at least sit down with the administration, talk, and see if we can come to agreement which policies are most pertinent to be submitted. If that's the route, if the standard's the route you all choose, which sounds kind of, it's more cost effective that route than what the other one is.
Well, I mean, eventually it'll be up to this commission to decide what.
Correct.
Policy. So we're going to talk to both sides,
Right.
as we have in the past.
But I mean, I
But
just asked for
then-
opportunity for the association to talk to the administration. If we work out something, be on the same page, and then go from there.
You're getting a lot of no's back there. They know how you
But,
are.
and that's what I was alluding to, that maybe, again, if you do 20 questions, maybe 10 come out of state code, 10
Right.
come out of your all's policies, and you may want to narrow down. What's the leadership's highest issue with departmental policy? Maybe it is the use of force. So maybe you want 10 questions coming out of that.
And we are going to have some budget, but it's not unlimited. So we're going to have to measure
Right, which one?
how many questions
Is there a way to
against,
change or
how
whatever.
many tests we're going to have, how many study
Set
guides.
number of questions. I mean, I know you recommended 20, but is there a set number the commission's ready to
Not at this
because, no, we
point.
have no idea.
Okay.
We have to, I mean, we're gonna have to, there's a whole lot of steps that's gotta take place
A whole lot of steps.
before we can even get to that point.
That's just
Yeah.
my concerns with it, is just that
Yeah.
we would get an opportunity to sit down and hopefully work on this
I
together.
think
and
it
get
should be as cooperative a process as we can make it.
Absolutely.
From a budgetary-
Absolutely.
From a budgetary prospect, I do not see your initial test being any more than 20 questions,
Okay,
customized.
Yeah.
sounds
Right.
good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All right. Come up, state your name.
I want to work cooperatively with them, obviously, and whatever satisfies the deputies and best for them, that's what I want. Right direction.
But it sounds to me at some point it's a pig in a poke. We're gonna do the best we can and see what we get, right?
Absolutely.
Better than what we got.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because we've been working on this for, well, I've been on this commission almost 5 years, and
Sir.
we've been on this
Yeah.
this plight for quite a while through many different people. So back from Betsy Plummer when she was the president of this thing. So
Sir,
trying
it
to
goes
get
back
this
to
training
Scott
fixed.
Myers' day.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking, I bet it's been 10 years. This has probably been kicked around.
Maybe we can take it down to one.
Well, we gonna fix
But
it.
2015, yeah, 2015 is when it first surfaced.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I wasn't around then, but we're gonna fix it now.
I think you're going in the right direction.
All right, do we have a motion?
I make a motion for we go with standard and move forward.
Second, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay, now I can give you some more puzzle pieces and to kind of quote Paul Harvey, here's the rest of the story.
Oh, Lord.
So, in talking with, part of the process, while we needed you folks to do this tonight, the Deputy Legal Director, Mozzie, also stated in an email to County Clerk Petrucci that before we can go out to a third-party vendor for testing, we, as in Civil Service Commission, need to get the approval from the West Virginia Department of Personnel. The day after he told me that, and I think I put that in your all's letter as well, I sent a letter to West Virginia Division of Personnel to my point of contact, which is a Tracy Richardson for ordering test. She bumped it up to her supervisor, and that supervisor, deputy director for the West Virginia Division of Personnel, said before they will give any approval, we need to get information from them. They stated in their letter, they state sufficient information about the exams will be needed. The West Virginia DOP does not review the actual exams, but would need information such as the vendor's name, specific exams proposed for use, vendor website information, and validation information for the proposed exams. So my intent tomorrow is based upon what you all have just made the motion and unanimously approved, is to write that supervisor who we're looking to, give her all that information in there that they've requested, and then we'll hear back from them. And I think it'll be a timely response. My experience has been very proactive with them, but they have been timely. So that's what is the next step. And when you said earlier that a lot of things still need to happen, you've just crossed a huge hurdle, I think. So
when she says in her letter, need information such as specific exam proposed for use.
Which you like the corporal exam.
What does that mean?
Sergeant's exam.
what I'm
Like
going to
the name,
do
you're
is
gonna-
I'm going
you're
to
gonna
give her that proposal that we were given from Standard, and because that's all the information we have.
I
Okay.
suspect there are people at Standard that are hired for the purpose of communicating to the state offices such as that, too. They can
Yes, sir.
certainly help you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So that,
We probably should go ahead and let them know, Standard know, that we're moving that way.
oh, yes, sir.
And say,
Yes,
get
sir.
us what,
Yeah.
show us what the process is gonna be.
Yes, sir. But again, in that packet that Standard said, they gave us a lot of documentation and things like that. So, okay. And this guy, he's been great to work with. Thomason. Again, he's the vice president, so he's looking out for his company. Sir, what is our next step with you? And so now here comes some more of the wave, if you will, okay, of information. It was brought up at the September meeting when we held it in the SWAT room at the Sheriff's Department about having the deputies, if they fail, because of the cost of these, and this was one of Mr. Petrucci's big concerns, was for the taxpayers. Earlier this year, we had 24 deputies that were eligible to test. If we would have had this company, it would have cost us like $2,700 to get the tests in. And you have to order them before you, as was then, before you knew how many were actually going to test. Only 32% of the 24 showed up, 8 people. The county taxpayers would have had to eaten $1,766 because those others failed to show up. So the question then went to Mr. Mozzie just this past Monday about, can a deputy be charged if they say they're going to test and they do not test? Can they be charged the cost of that test fee? In this case, we're talking roughly 100, if it's a corporal sergeant, $110, because the basic test, not a customized test, basic test is $100 with a $10 study guide. With that being said, Mr. Mozzie wrote back today, and his response was, after thinking about your question a bit, I think it would be reasonable for the Civil Service Commission to charge a deputy for the cost of an exam if they sign up to take it, but then do not. So, as long as it is clear in the civil service regulations. So that's one of those where
We would have to add that.
it's got to be spelled out. So it'll also need to be addressed, and I'll go ahead and throw it out on the table. What if a deputy says, well, I'm not paying, I refuse to pay? So then what is the course of action? That will need to be spelled out too, I would imagine. So that's just something to think about. We're not there yet, but
yeah.
Okay.
so,
Well, I think that's reasonable. I mean, you would have to allow for if someone had some type of emergency or something like that, on a case by
I'm
case.
sorry, but if you're going to say it's a fee, then it's a fee. It's not a fee waived sometimes.
Yeah, but what if
I agree with Dale.
what if it's they get called to duty?
Oh, no,
I
wait a
mean-
minute, that's, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That type of emergency. I'm not talking about they got a sore tooth or something.
Yeah.
But if
Thank you, Dale.
but
okay.
Well,
Captain Heckman, I saw a response to that in your face. What are you thinking? You mind if I ask you?
Brent Heckman. I'm sure my mom's somewhere disappointed that I wasn't able to keep my face to myself.
she tried to knock it off of you enough. I bet.
She should try harder. Just, I don't know. That's certainly what our discussion was. Just me and the DSA president was I don't think that the punitive action should be anything that's departmental. That's something for you all to make that decision on. And
Yeah, I think it would,
Absolutely.
it'd be financial. It would be-
there's
Opposed to the
quite a
financial
few
part.
different circumstances that would potentially cause someone to not be present, even with the best effort
Right.
and interest. So I
Yeah,
don't necessarily have
yeah.
You'd
a.
have to, well, and we really need the input from both sides as well, because I don't think we're familiar with what all of those, you said there's many situations that could occur. Well, a call to duty is obviously a commitment to the county and a commitment to the taxpayers. So I can understand that being an exception. And this is just me speaking freely. But what else is there? I have a toothache, as Dale's example from one to the other. So that's going to be the hard part. So we don't really know what exceptions that you may think come up. Is there other things that they might have to do that are department related, or they just decided that they don't want to take it?
There's such a vast different way to answer that. I just know that departmentally, and this has been many, many, many years ago. I've been on 19 years. There were times where you would do the whole department at once, and we would go to the church out on Queen Street, and there would be 3 deputies working the road and 30 sitting in the church. Well, all it takes is one catastrophe of anything, and now you've just lost almost your entire testing environment. And if for you guys to keep the sanctity of the test and the same testing environments that is there, if 20 people leave, now all of a sudden it's going to be a different room than the individuals are coming back into, and that would be a hard thing to do. And at least the way that the practice is now, I don't think that you're going to run into that. We are only testing certain ranks at a time, but there's so many different things that could
And if I'm not mistaken, do they even have to sign up for the promotional exams now, or do we just?
No.
So that will take care of a lot of it.
That will.
And when they sign up, then they can sign something that says they agree to pay if they don't show. So
It'll be like lack of a better term, a contract or an acknowledgement statement that you're going to sign that says, yes, I
don't like the idea of a fee. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. On the other hand, I got to do something with Tony Petrucci's.
I
It's
understand.
a legitimate point. So I think what we need to do is make sure if we're going to do this, that we do it carefully.
Yeah, very.
let's try to write a rule first, and then we'll
Yeah,
Go from there.
go from there.
I think that should be part of, if we're going to reach out to the standard and get this rolling, maybe we ought to start thinking about that. That's going to take some work.
Yes.
I think that's really going to be the hardest part of all of this. I do.
Thank you, sir. Sorry to
Yes.
put you on the
No, that's
spot.
All right.
Okay, so then another wave in regards to the county administrator. Sir, you were saying about you don't see this being implemented until 6-8 months down the road. Originally, at least my thought process was we were not going to be able to afford this until Clerk Petrucci got his new budget 1 July of 2025. However, Mr. Petrucci and myself met with the county administrator, Gary Wine, for about 30-45 minutes today. And I know I have the budget to discuss later, but if you can go ahead and look at your budget sheet that was passed out to you, and I think you all may have picked one up over there. If you didn't, you can. The county clerk's budget, as it is right now, is $15,750. Okay, that's what he has for a civil service budget. So far, out of the budget, the postage was allotted for $750. We've expended $19.30 out of that, which equates out to 2.6%. There's an advertisement budget of $5,000, and as it is right now, we've spent $1,581.47. And when we say advertising budget, that's to announce for promotional exams in the journal. That's to announce for the open hire exams in the journal. The public hearing that we had last month, that figures in there. So if you look over an available budget, that brings it down to $3,418.53, which is 31.6% of the advertising budget used for this year. And then you'll see the big one, the professional services, $10,000, of which there has been $0 spent. In our discussion with Mr. Wine, he said that the clerk can move money around. What he recommended is that there's going to be a new line item. If Mr. Petrucci so desires to do this, it's up to him, to add a line item to that report called training/education. That is the line item where money for these tests would be put into. With that being said, $10,000, that has always been in the past, since I've been dealing with the Civil Service Commission, for legal fees.
Correct.
In the past, to include if you put an attorney on a retainer, that comes out of that. Now, Mr. Wine's comment was he's never seen that money used. So, because I was always under the impression that money had to stay there in case there is that lawsuit or what have you towards you all, then you have money to be defended. So with that being said, a portion of that money could be pulled and put into this new line item. Then we could go ahead and start working with Stannard and Associates and get a test started instead of waiting until we have a test that we need to have to offer. We're a little bit ahead of the game.
Well, I wasn't saying it would take 6 to 8 months to get started. What I'm saying is by the time we get the process started, get the approval, determine which questions, sections we're going to use for questions, it could be that long. They write the questions. There's got to be some process for us to see some product.
Basically,
I think
my discussion with them was roughly a 3 to 4 month turnaround period. But since we have free time, so to speak, we stepped up.
I'm good with the money, starting to use that money, but when we go back for our budget next year to the council, we're gonna need to ask for a separate line item for training when we have an idea of how much it's gonna cost us every year, because we still may need the legal fees, and we don't wanna be caught with we don't wanna be caught with our hand in a cookie jar and not have, any cookies in there to bail us out.
I think what you'll find, what I gained from our conversation is, because my comment was, this is kind of protection money.
Right.
And that was the term I used because of legal fees.
And we like it.
Yes, sir. And he says there's no such thing as legal fees or protection money. If you have it, you need to use it. And I'm of the opinion or belief that if there is a lawsuit or something filed against you all, you're going to get the money you need as a commission.
Probably.
Well, but you're basically suggesting that some of this allotment, $10,000, be used to start moving with.
Yes, sir.
With the standard. That's what are you proposing?
Yeah.
What do you propose?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Let's
How
take
much?
that money, start using it.
I don't know until I start doing some
Yeah.
a little bit more in depth.
Sure.
I mean,
We got to look at what's our history, how many tests we have per year,
Yeah.
yes, sir.
and do the math on it.
And I
The
think we
biggest one is going to be for the rank of corporal. That's where your biggest pool of applicants is going to come from. I mean, I think the last time we did somebody for sergeant, there was only 2 people that was even eligible. I think the lieutenant was basically real close to only 1 or 2
Yeah.
people eligible. So you're not talking huge numbers
Right.
there. The huge numbers at corporal.
And we can figure that out, but I think we could make a motion now to allow John to take the funds that he needs out of there, just keep us informed and get this thing rolling. What do you think, Perez?
Well, I mean, do we need a motion to spend money? We've never made a motion for advertising or anything,
true.
so it's up to the county clerk to move the money.
It is. To be honest, it's his money.
There is a line
Well,
item
John,
there for
proceed.
advertising and
How's
publication.
that?
There's no line item. The professional services is a different line item. We're
Right.
moving money out of that.
So,
Right.
yeah, well, he has to agree to create another line item, right?
Well,
We
Yes,
can't
sir.
do
He
that.
can do that on his own. He can shuffle any of that money around he wanted to today. He could have.
I say he goes forth and does his thing. Get it done.
I just don't think we need to vote on that.
Yeah, just
I mean,
go
I
ahead,
don't think
yeah.
we need to vote for
I don't
that to
think
happen. We've approved the test, but we want to move forward, so.
Right, so get her
the
done.
numbers.
If he can move forward, let's move forward.
Okay. All right.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Is that the last wave?
That's the last way. And I thought that was a pretty good way though, to get by.
Yeah, it was, it was.
And I told
Whenever you find money, it's a good way.
And I told Mr. Petruzzi today was probably the best day I think we've had for a long time related to testing for civil service.
Yep. Next item, 2024-13, open hire process, current rules and regulations. So we are getting close to having that wrapped up. We meet tomorrow. We got a couple of things to iron out. One thing that has come up is the new scoring for evaluations. You always have some unintended consequences when you change something. And we haven't run the numbers yet, but even though the percentages won't change, because we want to keep things as close to as they are, because you don't want to change too many things at once. But when you change that, right now the evaluation number comes in at like between 1 and 4 or something like that. So you end up with adding like a decimal point to the score, with it going to a potential of 70 points or 77 points, whatever it is on the evaluations. That's really going to weight that a lot higher than what it is now. So once we have, you might do your own calculations on that in the department and the association, because that's going to weight those evaluations a lot higher than what they have been in the past. And I think what anybody ever intended. So we're trying to, I mean, Scott Wilson's on the committee and he's been putting together some sample calculations, so based on historical stuff. So we'll see what it looks like before we
Tomorrow.
make any recommendations on changes in there. So hopefully we'll discuss that tomorrow. So it was kind of like at the last minute, we were just kind of thinking, oh, we don't want to change this. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. We changed one of the numbers going into it. We are changing it. So any thoughts you guys have, relay them to us.
And the other thing I would add to you is if Will, Deputy Henderson, he is your all's association representative, you guys really need to let him know your all's thoughts. He's on there to represent the association. So let him know your all's thoughts so he can communicate for you all as well.
All right. So our goal is to have that done by the end of the year and out to everybody so we can approve probably at our January meeting at the latest. So next item, issue 2024-24, open hire physical agility and written examination from October 26th.
Okay, it's just for the summary purposes for the record. It's unknown how many applications were actually handed out or downloaded, but what we do know is that 9 applications were received by our office before the cutoff date, which was October 10th of 2024. Out of the 9 eligible, we had received prior notification that for the test date that 4 of them would not be reporting for various reasons. That takes you down to 5 people that were eligible for that day to test. Out of the 5 applicants, unfortunately, one of those 5 did not show up. So that takes you down to 4 applicants who were there for the physical agility test. Out of those 4, 2 of them did not need to do the physical agility test because they were previously certified law enforcement officers. One was with Maryland State Police, the other was with Winchester PD, I believe. So out of the 2 that were then eligible to take the physical agility test, only one of them passed the agility test. He failed. The one that failed on sit-ups. He only got 26 out of the 28. So that left 3 people to take the written examination. Out of the written examination, only the 2 previously certified officers passed the test, which is an 84-question test with a 2-hour limit on them. And the initial list of those 2 names was sent to Sheriff Blair on October 31st of 2024. And at this time, background investigations are pending. So
Good.
that's the summary for them, for that issue.
So we need to keep that one open until
Yes, sir.
they're resolved.
Yes, sir.
Next item, issue 2024-27, request to remove applicant Stefan Seboteri. Yeah, well, we haven't met since then.
Oh,
right?
that's true.
Because that was after our last
Right,
meeting.
got it.
So just the summary on him. Hearing was conducted on Wednesday, October 16th, a public hearing right here in these chambers at 6:15. President Dobson turned the hearing over to Commissioner Dale Buck to preside over the hearing, basically. Commissioner Buck requested the Sheriff Blair start out presenting his reasons for the request to remove applicant Sabbatari from the eligibility list. The Sheriff's Office had 3 members to testify: Sheriff Blair, Chief Young, and Investigator Deputy Angola. G.
Giangola.
Yes. Upon the sheriff conducting the reasoning, applicant Sabbatari was given his opportunity to counter their reasoning. Once he finished, Commissioner Buck gave both parties another opportunity to add anything either one of them wanted. Neither one had anything to add. Commissioner Buck stated that the Civil Service Commission would give a final ruling within 10 days. You can see the final ruling, which I had placed in your packets. And this will be an attachment to the meeting minutes next month. Also, as was last month's commission meeting and last month's public hearing, we are now streaming on YouTube Live, and you'll notice that those links will now be placed in the meeting minutes so that anybody can go back and see that. So that's the summary of it. Basically, you'll need to make a motion to close that item.
Okay. Do we have a motion to?
Move we close it.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Issue 2024-29, request for new open hire physical agility and written examinations scheduled for December 14th, 2024.
Chief Young had sent you folks a letter dated October 30th to request a new hire. Again, the Sheriff's Department, the last count I had roughly 6 vacancies. out of that 6, only 2 people passed the test the last go round. So even if they would hire them, both of them, that still leaves vacancies. So that we need to give another test. We've set up an application deadline of 5 p.m. for November 26th of 2024. Thus far, we've had 2 applicants to apply. One is a current deputy sheriff from Maryland. He's, I believe, with Carroll County. Impressive young man. Spoke to him quite a bit the other day. And the other is a veteran. Had a person go to turn in an application today. I could not accept it because they did not have it properly filled out for the medical form that they were fit to do the test. I believe she will come back and get it in time. She did tell me, is there any way she could, she's going to be out of town on the 14th. Can she do the test another day? And I had to tell her no. So she says she's going to try and rearrange her schedule so that she can come test.
So what is our deadline for registering for that test?
November 26th, Tuesday at 5 o'clock,
We only have 2.
as it is right now. Trying to help get the word out. I had an opportunity. I created a public service announcement. I hand-delivered it to WRNR radio station and WEPM radio station, and when I gave it to them at WEPM, they said, hold on a second, and they went and talked to Marcia Kowalik, and she asked me if I would come on and talk to her. I tried to get Mr. Dobson to go on with me, but he was shy that day.
No, it was unavailable. Wasn't even in town.
So I went on, it was this past Monday at 9:15. That can also be, if you go to WEPM, whatever it is, on Spotify, you can hear the roughly 15-minute interview. It starts at the 10:20 mark, and I will provide links to everyone for that as well. So trying to help get the word out.
So I know we have a date, a cutoff date, because we have to order exams. How much are the exams? How much do they cost? They don't cost us anything.
They're from the state.
'Cause I know last time we had a few people want to come in at the last minute and we weren't able to accommodate. Is there any way we can just order a few extra just in case we would have that?
As much as I hate to say it, I'm not a proponent of that, but if that's what you all want to
I mean,
do,
there's nothing in our rules to prevent it that I see.
yeah, it says an application will be turned in by the cutoff date. It's in the rules and regulations.
I think it was in there.
Yes, sir. We can't now.
Yeah, we can in the future.
Other agencies do it.
I know city, I think, does it.
Yeah, we can do that on the next test. We don't, there's none says we
Yeah,
can't do
we,
that.
maybe in the future we can do that. Now, the thing is, they're gonna have everything 100% completed when if they're gonna come at the last minute.
Right.
I mean, I don't know about day of, because that might be
Yeah.
a little, we don't wanna be standing out there, if we've got 20 applicants, looking through paperwork to make sure they've got everything, but, I mean, if
Couple
it's,
days before.
yeah, a few days before might not be a bad idea in the
But-
future, so.
Again, you'll just need to have a cutoff. When I say cutoff, the number, because I have to let 2 weeks' notice to Division of Personnel how many tests we need.
Right. But before, we've sent back unused tests, right? I mean, we've had,
Just this last time, that's the only time I've done that.
well, I know, but before you were here, I know we've sent back unused
Yeah,
tests.
I know we have to.
So, I mean, people don't always show up, so. Anyway, just something to think about for the future then,
Yep.
maybe next time around. All right, and Commissioner Moffett and I are gonna be available for those testing.
On December 14th.
Yep.
Okay, so
I'm going
Mr.
to
President,
do,
you're going to do Spring Mills?
yep, I'll do yeah, we should mention those. The physical agility is at Spring Mills, and the written test will be in the training room, so, of the deputy sheriffs.
And that will
Sheriff's
be
Department.
Commissioner Moffett.
That would be Mr. Moffett.
Yeah, it will be.
Thought it would be over by then, didn't it? All right, final item, budget update for 2024-25, or have you already given that?
I think that pretty much covered it.
Well, I think we should, instead of just, now that we know we have this budget, that we should try to put some real numbers to it, like how many open hires we're going to do per
Yes, sir.
year, how many, and then like Dale said, or Jim maybe, we don't want to be in the habit of using our money that's for legal services that we may need for other things. I know we probably will be backed if something happens, but, you know, we don't want to.
We should always have enough in
We
there.
should,
at
the
least
budget
to
should
overcome
reflect what we're actually going to do, I guess what I'm
Right.
saying, not just what we relying on shifting money around because we
Okay.
think we need it.
My,
So
my
once we
goal,
put some numbers to this testing, we'll have that line, you know, and then we can figure out the advertising. I think we should look into creating our own Facebook page because that's where people get their information now, not from the newspaper. So if we want to reach people, I know everybody shares it, but whatever the sheriff's department puts out, but wouldn't hurt for us to have our own. So, and that advertising is pretty cheap.
my goal was to have you all something next month for you to sign a budget to submit to Mr. Petrucci.
Yep.
So that because he has to, Sheriff, have you been told when your budget is due to be turned into the county? Yeah. Yeah. See, Mr. Petrucci has not received his packet yet, so. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
All right. Any other items from the floor? Any announcements?
Announcements, got three.
Of
Again,
course you
just
do.
just as a reminder, you did say Saturday, December 14th for the open hire test. Spring Mills, 9 a.m. You two will be the test proctors, Mr. President and Commissioner Moffett.
What time is it? We're going to start the written exam?
The written exam will be roughly a half hour after the conclusion of the physical agility test.
Okay.
I'll text you, I'll call you, say, hey, we're done.
Okay.
You'll have time to get here.
I'll hustle up here.
Yeah, we probably might need to make it a little longer since we're traveling.
We
15
can.
minutes, but
Okay. The second announcement is handouts in your packets. You had information related to the Ethic Commission handout from their training on open meetings and sunshine law, as well as Robert's Rules handout for your information. And then the last announcement is the next meeting is tentatively scheduled for 5 p.m. Wednesday, December 18th. Hopefully here in the council chambers right here. I cannot request or reserve or request this room until the first of every month. And because it's county commissioners get first dibs, imagine that. But okay, they get first dibs.
I think they are.
So that's why I have to wait and say that. So those are your three announcements.
All right. If there's nothing else, a motion to adjourn?
Move adjourned.
Second? All those in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
We are adjourned at 5:59.
How about that? I love it when a plan comes together.